Let's see. Who name and say?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Good
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, we'll get started. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Judge Regina Mincy, and this is going to be our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is a calendar for cases in which individuals have recently been arrested, have recently been arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's office has already accused these cases of the offenses brought against them, and the case has been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, this will usually be the defendant's initial appearance before a state court judge, so we're able to address several matters, including bond, possible arraignment, and a possible plea offer if one has been made by the state at this juncture. I'm going to begin by advising everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being recorded as well as live streamed on YouTube. So govern yourselves accordingly. I'm going to also remind the defendants on this calendar that you do have certain constitutional rights. The first being that you have a right to have counsel representing you at this bond hearing. Most of you know who your attorneys are at this point. And also you have a constitutional right to remain silent. Anything that you state about the facts, the circumstances, and or the occurrences of your case can and will be held against you. So listen to your attorneys. All right, who do we have first, deputies?
Excuse me, Your Honor, but the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be April the 18th.
Thank you, forgot about that. April 18th.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Position 3, Your Honor, is Bradley.
okay. Position 3, I have 23 CR 002054G. Is that Crystal Burdette? I think you gave me a different name.
We have Erica Bradley.
Hold on a second.
Actually, Your Honor might have
I
another
think I'm
calendar.
looking at it. That was yesterday's. Hold on. You want to call it for me, Ms. Bridgewater, and let me look and see what calendar I have.
Yes, it will be Erica Denise Bradley, case number 23CR 002061C.
All right, thank you.
Charged with battery, family violence.
All right, pretrial,
First arrest.
okay. State,
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on April 4th, 2023 at 1345 Donnelly Avenue, apartment F3. Officers spoke with Eric Rhodes, who, when the officers came to the door, he could be heard arguing with Miss Bradley. The defendant, Miss Bradley, stated that she and her boyfriend of 2 years were in a verbal argument, and she stated she tried to take his phone because he was talking about her on the phone. And during her attempt to take his phone, she received scratches to her arm during the struggle over the phone. Mr. Rhodes also confirmed that the defendant tried to take his phone while he was talking to his friends, and that she slapped him, and the officers were able to observe a small scratch on the left side of his cheek. So the defendant and Mr. Rhodes were both arrested during this incident. However, after reviewing the warrant and reviewing the facts of the case, reviewing the fact that the defendant herself admitted that this happened when she tried to take the phone from Mr. Rhodes, and that the scratches on her arm were during her struggle to try to take the phone forcibly from him, we have identified her as the primary aggressor for that reason. We are proceeding with her case and have dismissed Mr. Rhodes' case. The state's recommendation on this, because she is 38 and this is her first arrest, is a $3,500 signature bond through pretrial services, 1-day anger management, stay away from 1345 Donnelly Avenue, F3 in Atlanta, and no further contact with Eric Rhodes, Eric, E-R-I-C, Rhodes, common spelling, R-H-O-D-E-S. Thank you. Nothing further from the state.
all right. And Ms. Wills, PD Wills,
Thank you, Your Honor. I would have no objection to the signature bond. However, my client would like to maintain contact, obviously nonviolent contact with the alleged victim. She does deny ever having slapped Mr. Rhodes. She states that the apartment in which they live is in her name, and that is her home. She is a teacher. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology. She's been in Georgia since 2013. And so for all of those reasons, we would at least request that she at least be allowed to return one time to the residence with law enforcement to determine whether or not Mr. Rhodes is still there, and that she be allowed to resume residency at her apartment or at her home, as it is her place if he is not there.
And Your Honor, I will say the address that both of them gave was this apartment. So I understand that she is saying she is on the lease. However, it looks like both of them have been occupying the apartment, which at this point would require a eviction proceeding in order to have Mr. Rhodes removed. Additionally, there has not been a cooling off period. This incident happened yesterday at 4 a.m. So we are asking for a short signature bond, but a stay away and no further contact for that reason. I will sound for Mr. Rhodes, although I believe he is still in custody since we did the paperwork this morning. Is Mr. Rhodes here on the line? Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
all right, thank you. Well, I do agree, this just happened and there hasn't been certainly the ample cooling down period. We want to make sure that the victim is safe. I'm going to obviously agree with the $3,500 signature bond through pretrial. I'm going to order a stay away from the incident location. I'm going to order the no further contact with Mr. Eric Rhodes. And I'm going to order that 1-day anger awareness course through pretrial.
And Your Honor, can Ms. Bradley please have a one-time police escort to pick up her belongings from the residence?
Yes. And I will add, Ms. Bridgewater, a one-time law enforcement escort to return to the property to retrieve her personal items. And also no drugs, alcohol, weapons, while on bond as well.
Okay.
All right, is that it, council?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's all for the state. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just make sure it keeps recording.
Next case.
Position number 2, Ms. Bell.
Okay. This is 23 CR 002059F. Marquelia Bell, charged with 1 count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer's, 2nd count, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, offense date April the 4th, 2023. Retrial.
What's the rest? 2023, straight to appear. That's for shoplifting. 2020 shoplifting, 2020 ag assault, that's open. In Superior Court, it's 22 SC 185491. That's it.
All right, state.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge Missy. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Can we take up this case and position number 16 together because there's a co-defendant where the facts are the same?
Okay.
Okay.
As long as our deputies can do that, that's fine.
You see how serious this is? Yeah. It froze.
I guess they'll let them come next.
They'll let them come. You think so? Okay.
Yeah. they'll-
Hopefully, usually they will. They're
Okay.
listening to us. Go
All
ahead.
right. So this case occurred yesterday at 905 James Jackson Parkway, where officers observed the defendant and the co-defendant, his name is Javius Pop, rolling an unknown substance while sitting on the sidewalk. And so when officers walked toward them, the co-defendant, Mr. Pop, he attempted to stand up and separate himself from the defendant. And eventually, after the officers were talking to Mr. Pop, the co-defendant, he showed officers that it was marijuana, that they had marijuana cigarettes. And then when officers started to detain the defendant, she began acting confused. And when the officers noted in the police report that when they asked her to remove her purse, they observed her holding her arms very tightly to her body as if to conceal something. And so when officers told her to turn around and give them her hands, she ignored the officers and continued to be confused or act confused. And so eventually officers were able to conduct a pat down. They discovered that the defendant was attempting to conceal a handgun, Your Honor. And because of this, and the fact that the defendant has an open ag assault where she had a $25,000 straight bond for where she stabbed someone, the state has a concern with that. And so we're offering or recommending a $3,000 split bond, $2,000 surety bond for the willful obstruction, and then $1,000 surety bond for the possession of marijuana less than an ounce, Your Honor, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And as for the co-defendant, position 16.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
So you said a split bond, but I didn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, not split bond. It is supposed to be a split bond, though it's supposed to be $1,000 signature bond for the marijuana.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then now go to, hold on a second, I would need to call position 16. Deputies, are you able to get Mr. Pop there, position 16?
Yes, Your Honor. He's going next.
Okay. All right, he will be next. Just go ahead. We'll do this case. We're not going to call him up at the same time.
Okay, well, that is all for the state. Just, we're gonna do the $3,000 split bond, $2,000 surety for the willful obstruction, and 1,000 signature bond for the possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Okay, all right. And is it Ms. McLeod
It
I
is,
represent Mr.
or
Potts.
Ms. Wills?
I represent Miss Bell. Miss Bell is 21 years old. She has no convictions at this time. She is from Georgia, born and raised. She does receive SSI. And although she may have had a handgun on her, she wasn't charged for any sort of offense. So I would like the court to, or I would request a signature bond in light of that, in light of her criminal history, and in the fact that she has only been charged with possession of less than an ounce of marijuana, and then the obstruction charge, Your Honor.
All right. How old is Ms. Bell?
She's 21.
And her, do we know her relationship to Mr. Pop?
My understanding is they're married, Your Honor.
They're married?
That is my understanding.
Let me, I guess I don't have any other facts that I need per se, but let me state, I'll go ahead and call position 16 with Mr. Pop. Let me hear that before I give my ruling. Well, I want to be simple with the jail, so let me just go ahead and give a signature bond, a $3,000 signature bond on this case, position 2. And that would be 2,000 on the obstruction and 1,000 on the marijuana for a total 3,000. I'm going to not split the bond. I'm just going to do a total signature bond, and I'll give that signature bond through the jail. And with that signature bond through the jail, and I'm not for sure who's residing or this location at 905 James Jackson Parkway.
Neither of them live there, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
They do not live there. They actually live in Alpharetta. That's my understanding.
Oh, so that's just the incident location.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So right now, since this incident just happened, I am going to order no further contact between the co-defendants for now. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Is there anything else I need to take up with Ms. Bell?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay.
Position number 16 with the Pop.
Yes. This is case number 23 CR 002073A. It's Javis Pop, charged with 1 count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. April the 4th, 2023 is the offense date. So I have the same facts.
Yes, Your Honor, same facts where the officers observed them rolling an unknown substance. The defendant later showed officers that it was in fact a marijuana cigarette. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $1,000 signature bond and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond.
All right, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor. We have no objection to that bond. Your Honor, what we do have an objection to is to no further contact. These people are married, and my understanding is that the co-defendant is expecting, and also that she is, the pregnancy is a delicate one. That there are some issues, Your Honor. So having no further contact, they live together, would be a huge hardship for them, especially managing a high-risk pregnancy.
Okay, I did not hear that at the beginning when we were doing her case.
Well, that was what I understood from my client, Your Honor, that they are married, that they're a couple.
Yes, I did not have that information.
Did not, Ms. Wills?
No, I did
Well,
not.
I have a letter out on a signature bond. I'm going to also do the same for Mr. Pop. I'm going to rule in his case a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. How old is Mr. Pop?
25, Your Honor.
25. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
And with his $1,000 signature bond through the jail, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Since there's not been any violence, correct?
None at all, Your Honor. They were apparently just.
I hope with, yeah, I hope with her, she's not obviously smoking marijuana if she's pregnant, but I won't get into that. So I will remove the stay away from the two of them and just have no further violent contact. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or illegal substances while on bond from either party. And I guess that will be it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing
Nothing
from the
further.
state.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, position number 19, Mr. Williams. And also understand, Your Honor, that his mother would like to speak on his behalf.
All right, I'll see about that. You said 19. Okay, this is Cameron Williams, 23 CR 00 2023.
Your Honor, may I make a request on this?
Yeah.
And sorry to interrupt pretrial. Positions 15 and 19, the state has requested that those be held for breakout. So I don't know if the courtroom too would like to hold those last. It's position 15, Aruda, and position 19, Cameron Williams.
And you want those to be last?
However the court wants to do it, but we do need breakouts on both.
Can they do breakout last, Your Honor?
Yes. Let's do those last, and who would you like to go next?
Your Honor, position number 10, Ms. Johnson.
Okay. Position 10, 23 CR 002067A. Deidre Johnson, charged with one count of simple battery family violence. Offense date is March the 1st, 2023. Pretrial.
8th arrest, 2017 fugitive from justice hold. 2017 battery DV obstruction, that was dismissed. 2017 burglary domestic assault, dismissed. 2013 FTA, 2013 criminal damage to property conviction. That's it.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. This offense date took place on March 1st, 2023. Officers responded to the victim in this case, a Michelle Vassar. That spelled Michelle traditional, last name Vassar, Vassar. She advised that she wanted to get a report of an assault that happened the day prior, and she was assaulted by a resident. That there was a dispute between her and Deidre Johnson and her son, Darren Johnson, ex-tenants at her home. And while they were arguing, that the defendant struck Ms. Vassar in the face with a closed fist, and that Ms. Johnson, well, that Mr. Johnson struck Ms. Vassar with a closed fist, and Ms. Johnson also joined in on the assault, hitting her on their head with the space heater, and then they both fled the scene. And she refused treatment. Officers did observe a hit to the back of her head, but there was no other. She said that she had a hit to the back of the head, but officers did not observe any visible injuries. Your Honor, the defendant they did live at the relationship is a tenant relationship, and so the defendant does know where the victim lives. She does have some violent history. It looks like there was a DV battery from Kansas. We weren't able to get the disposition of that case. Also, that there was some other violent arrests out of state in Missouri for burglary and domestic assault. We have some concerns about that and the recency of the events. The state's recommendation in this case for the 1 count simple battery is a $2,000 surety bond. No further contact with the victim, and stay away from that address at 1164 Ewing Place, Southwest Atlanta. Also, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. Your Honor, we haven't made contact with the victim, but we would like to sound for her in case she is on the call. That is Ms. Michelle Vassar.
All right, is Michelle Vassar on the Zoom port? Michelle Vassar? Doesn't sound like she is. All right. PD, Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Johnson is 41 years old, and right now her minor son and they are staying at Economy Hotel at Roswell, Georgia. They do not live with Michelle Vassar, so there is no objection to the stay away and no further contact at all. Your Honor, my client is gainfully employed at 2 different jobs. NPS, a security company, as a security officer, and she also does maintenance labor for Fresh Express. She successfully graduated from high school. And Your Honor, she does need some help with a transitional housing. And her son, who is 16 years old, is all alone right now at home Economy Hotel. So she really needs to get out of the jail and be with her son. Your Honor, my client lost her 24 years old son not that long ago in Kansas City, Missouri. He was murdered, and when Michelle Vassar and her boyfriend attacked, his only one son who is left right now, 16 years old son. My client was protective. It was complete self-defense against attack on 16-year-old son. We would like to request for a signature on bond and nothing further, Your Honor.
Explain for me again, what is the relationship with the defendant and the victim? And the victim is Michelle Vassar?
Yes, Your Honor. Based on the police report, it appears that it was that the Ms. Johnson and the Johnsons were tenants, that they were all living together at the same house, as if Ms. Vassar was like the landlord, or they were living with Ms. Vassar at the time.
Okay. And now they have moved.
Yes, Your Honor.
The state would obviously, without having the ability, having spoken with Ms. Vassar, though, we would just obviously request that stay away. And if they do need an opportunity to take anything, if there's anything remaining, that there would be a one-time law enforcement escort to get those belongings.
Okay. I'm going to order a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order a stay away from the 1164 Ewing Place Southwest. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Michelle Vassar. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. and no, oh, the one-time police escort. If the defendant needs to go back to that location to retrieve any personal items. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further from defense. Thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, position number 8, Mr. Jackson.
Okay. This is 23 CR 002066Y. I'm sorry. Cedric Jackson, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. Offense date April the 4th, 2023. Pre-trial.
2023 shoplifting, 2022 shoplifting, 2021 probation, 2018 shoplifting, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon conviction. He's on probation for felony shoplifting, 19 SC 166592. And he got 75 total, so I ain't read no more.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at about 12:30 p.m. at the MARTA train station located at 2424 Piedmont Road. And this is where the defendant refused to leave the MARTA train station after being ordered to leave and being issued a trespassing warning. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services and to stay away from the MARTA train station addressed at 2424 Piedmont Road.
All right, PD Wills.
No objection to a signature bond, Your Honor.
All right, I will grant that $3,000 signature bond through pretrial
Judge, can you send it through the jail, please?
to the jail.
Yes.
All right.
Man
How
has
old is
75 arrests. He's
I
not a
know.
good candidate.
Yeah. How old is Mr. Jackson?
He is 56.
Okay. All right. $3,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order stay away from the MARTA train station, Piedmont Road. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I believe that's it. Anything else, counsel?
That is all.
Nothing from the defense.
Okay.
Your Honor, the court wishes to do the breakouts right now, considering that one of the people's parents are here.
Oh, so you want to do the breakout now, you're saying, not last?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, because of the person that's in the jail.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that was position number 15, was it? 15 and 19?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hold on 1 second and then we'll go to the breakout. All right, are we going into the breakout now? I guess my concern is if we're doing a breakout with position 15, is that the one that has a visitor in the galley on 15 or 19?
19, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. And Deputy Falk, it looks like is that your case 15 and 19?
15 and 19 are both mine, Your Honor.
And they're wanting us to go ahead and do them?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Okay. Who's my Zoom person? I call him my Zoom master.
It's Miss Grace, Judge.
Oh, there you go. Hello, Miss Grace. Good.
Hi.
My Zoom master, let's see, put me, Deputy Falk, Ms. Bridgewater, who else?
PD Kim, Your Honor.
PD Kim. I saw someone else raise their hand. Who's Julie? Oh,
That's the victim.
oh, the victim. Do we want the victim in at this point, Ms. Falk?
Your Honor, we did collect information from Miss Arata through the victim witness advocate. If there's any gaps that need to be filled in, we can come back out.
Right. I'd rather us go in first without the victim. And then if we need to add the victim, we can do that. I think that's it, Ms. Grace. Oh, do I want to hear pretrial first, or you want pretrial doesn't normally come in with me?
Nah, and I don't have to come today. I'm fine.
Do I need you to read the history, or should he not?
That's fine. Who is this for?
Position
Cam-
15.
yeah.
Is it?
For who?
Cameron Williams and Zachary Arata.
All right, Williams, second arrest. He got an open ag assault. It's 22 CP 208684.
Okay. And then
Arata, third arrest, 2021 battery. It appears to be open in Pickens County, and a 2017 possession of marijuana, PTI for them. That's it.
good. All right. And okay, Miss Grace, you can put us in now. All right. We're back on the record. Courtroom 2.
Yes, y'all.
Yes, and that is that Mr.
Mr. Williams, position number
Okay.
19.
That's Mr. Williams there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Williams' mother's in the galley. Is she able to hear me, or can we ask a question of her? And I don't know, you may not, do you want to bring in the courtroom or not? Can't hear you.
I'll bring her in on if she wants to come in. I can't make her.
Okay, ask her if she does. If not, I'll ask.
Where's your mother?
Are you a sister? You know, in a few minutes to get the mother. Can we go to the next breakout?
I'm sorry.
Can we go to position number 15 while they'll get the mother again?
And we did position 15. We handled that. I was just going to give my announcement as to the bond.
Okay.
Was it announcement? Can you give me an announcement from Mr. Or was this?
Arata.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's a $5,000 surety bond. And I've ordered an MHET. And I've ordered no further contact with the victim, Julia Arata, and a stay away from 5220. I think it was Fire Lake Lane. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, and for position number 19.
At 19, I had a quick question from the mother as far as the residence or location of the defendant, unless the defendant wants to answer that, but I don't know if PD Kim wants him to speak.
Judge, will you also break down that bond for them in position 15? There were 3 charges.
His sister is here.
Oh, in position 15, criminal trespass, 1,000, battery, 3,000, and hindering the call, 1,000.
Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you, Honor. And his sister for position number 19, his sister can answer the question for you.
Oh, so I have the sister there and the mother, or just the sister?
Just the sister.
Okay. Just ask her where is the defendant residing?
He resides at 1022 Kathleen Court, where the incident happened.
Okay. And is he in college or has been in college or?
He was in college, Your Honor. In 2018, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia while in college and has been home since. He's had several episodes since then, and this is one of those.
Okay. All right. I understand. And he's 25, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And William Williams is your brother, I'm assuming?
Yes, he's our older brother.
Your older brother, how old is he?
He is 30 or 31.
Okay.
31 or 30.
Okay, and he resides at that home as well?
No, he does not.
Oh, he does not reside there.
They were just all at my mother's house at the time, where Cameron lives.
Okay, so the only persons that reside at Kathleen Court are who?
My brother that's here, Cameron Williams, my mother, my father, and then 2 younger siblings.
Okay. Those 2 younger siblings are how old?
11 and 16.
Okay. All right. And do you know if Cameron currently has a position that he's treating with?
No, and we're trying to get help with that, Your Honor. With
Okay.
schizophrenia, you have to accept it, that you have it first before actually accepting treatment.
Correct. Okay. You've answered my questions. Anything else, Deputy Falk or PD Kim?
Your Honor, I just want to point out the warrant does say, and I quote, on April 3rd, 2023 at approximately 6:30 p.m., the victim was entering the home that he shares with his brother. And then they gave the address at 1022 Kathleen Court, and that is the address of the stay away from the previous incident where they were, according to that previous incident, residing together.
Okay. All right. Anything else, PD Kim?
Nothing further from defense.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am, for talking to me. All right. I'm trying to see if they want, should I go ahead and give the ruling?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I have heard the evidence regarding this incident, and I'm going to order a $5,000 cash bond due to the history and the violation of the bond in Superior Court. So this will be a $5,000 cash bond. I'm going to order a stay away from 1020 Kathleen Court. Mr. Williams, you cannot go back to that address with your family at all. You need to find somewhere else to reside. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, William Williams. And I'm going to also order MHET so that there will be an evaluation and treatment recommendation. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond, okay? All right, that should conclude this case.
Y'all we have position number, what's an add-on, Mr. Character?
Okay. Ms. Bridgewater, can you read the add-on for me, please?
I will. It is Gerard or Gerald character, case number 23CR 002079G, charged with disorderly conduct.
Okay. All right. State.
Yes, Your
Secretary.
Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at about 2 p.m. at 1411 Venetian Drive, where the defendant and Mr. Namaj Das engaged in a verbal dispute. And when Mr. Das told the defendant that he couldn't leave the store without paying for the rest of the merchandise. And so the defendant then told Mr. Das that he would kill him right then and there in the store. And then the defendant proceeded to exit the store and wait on Mr. Das to exit. And the defendant had a gun in his pocket that was visible to Mr. Das. Our victim advocate did speak to Mr. Das today, and he said that he was afraid to show his face on the Zoom and that he was kind of afraid to get on the Zoom today, Your Honor. And he did confirm the incident of what happened in the warrant. And he said, he told our victim advocate that he is very afraid for his life and that the defendant has been in the store before threatening to smash everything in the store, Your Honor. And for these reasons, the state is recommending a $10,000 surety bond, no further contact with Mr. Das, and his name is spelled Najim is Nimaj Das, Das. No further contact with Mr. Das, and to stay away from 1411 Venetian Drive, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right. PB Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. And speaking with Mr. Character, he said that he is going through some personal issues. He recently was in rehab and just was released in December. And he is still struggling to maintain his sobriety and is actually in the process and will be looking to admit himself back into a rehab again. He is from Georgia. As I stated, he has previously been in several different rehabs, both in Florida and in California. And his next step in life is to go back to rehab. We would have no objection to returning to the incident location. Mr. Character reports that he has received some college. He went to Kennesaw State. He only has one prior offense. And while I understand that threats may have been made, Mr. Character is only charged with disorderly conduct. And so we would ask for a signature bond in light of that, Your Honor.
I will not order a signature bond because I am concerned. And want to make sure that the victim is going to be safe, especially if there's been other incidents or history between them. I'm going to order the $10,000 surety bond. I'm going to order a stay away from 1411 Venetian Drive. And I hope, Mr. Character, you can do that. Stay away from that location. Do not go back there at all, or else you'll be right back here in the Fulton County Jail. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Mr. Dodd. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Your
All right.
Honor, I would ask maybe if you would reconsider perhaps a lower bond. Mr. Character states he is currently unemployed. However, he was set to begin working at United Pools as a lifeguard, but he does not have any money at this time.
No, I'm concerned about the allegations here. A little bit of history, and the allegations alarm me. There's only the charge here is, and I think it was mentioned, it's only simple battery. Is that correct?
The charge was disorderly conduct.
Yes. it's
Disorderly
disorderly
conduct. That's, I don't know. We'll see how long that stays, but I thought there was going to be some other charges here, based on the allegations. But no, I will not lower the bond. I know it's just a disorderly conduct, but I've heard some disturbing allegations. So I want to make sure that the victim is safe, and he can come back on SAP and you all can apply for a bond modification at that time. All right, that will conclude this matter.
Position number 5, Mr. Hill.
Okay. This is 23 CR 002063J. Tristan Hill, charged with 1 count of battery family violence. Offense date is 3/19/2023. Pretrial.
The second arrest, 2020, reckless driving, racing, speeding, homicide by vehicle, first degree. It's 20 CP 194965. That's it.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred March 19th, 2023 at about 12:30 p.m. at 485 Lingberg Place. And this is where officers responded to a dispute between the defendant and Miss I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, Arvinan Grand Prix, where the defendant asked Ms. Grand Prix to clean up her dog's poop. And when she refused to do that, the defendant then demanded that she leave the residence. And so as Ms. Grand Prix started to get some of her belongings to leave, the defendant then proceeded to punch her in the face. And officers observed a laceration on her lip and bruising around her eye. Your Honor, the defendant and Ms. Grand Prix do live together, and we were able to speak to Ms. Grand Prix today. Our victim advocate was able to speak to her. However, she stated that she didn't recall the incident or the injuries, Your Honor. But for these reasons, from the police report, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond. We're asking for a 1-day anger awareness course, no further violent contact with Ms. Grand Prix, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And I would like to sound for Ms. Grand Prix if she is on the Zoom call.
Is Ms. Grand Prix on the Zoom? Ms. Grand Prix. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
And your recommendation again is a $3,000 surety bond, and what were the other conditions?
A 1-day anger awareness course, no further violent contact with Ms. Grand Prix, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, Your Honor. The state didn't ask for a stay away because she let us know that since the incident, the defendant and her have been living together and they haven't experienced any other violent altercations such as this. And that she let our victim advocate know that she wasn't in fear of the defendant, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. PD Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. We would have no objection to the no further violent contact with Ms. Grand Prix as this incident occurred May 19th. Mr. Hill is 20 years old. He has no prior convictions. He has one open case, but that is from 2020. He is currently enrolled at Georgia State. And in light of his very light criminal history and no prior convictions, we would request a signature bond. However, if Your Honor is inclined to give a surety bond, we would ask for a $1,500 surety bond. Mr. Hill reports that although he is employed, he does not make much per month. He only makes about $250.
Okay. And was there a relationship with the two of them, or?
Yes, they're in a romantic relationship. They live together. They do not have any children together yet. However, Ms. Grand Prix is pregnant.
All right. I will grant a $1,000 surety bond. I'm going to order a no further violent contact with the victim. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. 1-day anger awareness course. And I believe that's it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further.
Nothing from the defense. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Position number 1, Mr. Bakovich.
Okay. This is 23 CR 002060Y. Ivo Bakovich, charged with 1 count of simple battery, 2nd count of criminal trespass. Offense date is April the 4th, 2023.
First.
Pre-trial?
First.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. First arrest. Okay. State.
Sorry. So this incident occurred yesterday at about 7:30 in the morning at 592 Mayland Avenue Southwest. And this is where officers arrived to a neighboring residence at 595 Mayland Avenue in response to a dispute between the defendant and Ms. Marion Reskia, and that's spelled Marion. Reskia is Rescia. Officers were they arrived at the location in response to a dispute between them that started because Ms. Reskia tried to wake up the defendant and she couldn't. And so Ms. Reskia then took the defendant's phone and in an attempt to contact his workplace so he wouldn't get fired. And so then the defendant woke up and he saw Ms. Reskia in his phone and he became angry and he threw her on the ground and then he began fighting her, which caused injuries to her shoulder, her neck, and her right tricep. And so during the altercation, Your Honor, Ms. Reskia was able to escape and run to another bedroom and lock that bedroom door. But then the defendant knocked a hole in that door. And so afraid for her safety, Ms. Reskia then was able to escape out of the residence and go to the neighboring residence, which is 595 Mayland Avenue, and call the police, Your Honor. Our victim advocate was not able to speak to Ms. Reskia today, but for these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, $3,000 surety for the simple battery, $1,000 for the criminal trespass, 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Ms. Marian Reskia, and to stay away from 592 Mayland Avenue Southwest, as well as no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I don't think Ms. Reskia is on the Zoom call, but if she is, I would like to go ahead and sound for her.
Ms. Reskia? I don't think she is. All right, and PD Wills?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bakovich is 21 years old. He is from Georgia. He is gainfully employed at Ansley Country Club. He is in a relationship with Miss Reskia. They do reside together where his name is on the lease. He does not have any prior convictions, and he does pay all of the bills where he and the alleged victim reside. And he also denies the allegations as alleged. And so for those reasons, and in light of the fact that Mr. Bakovich has never been arrested, nothing like this has ever happened before. He states that he may have overdone it as far as with alcohol the night before, but he said that nothing like this has ever happened. He has never been arrested. So we will request a signature bond in light of that, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to order a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order, and that's $3,000 on the simple battery, $1,000 on the criminal trespass. I'm going to order a stay away from the incident location, or both locations, I guess. If that's what the state is asking for. The 592 and 595, or just the 592?
Well, I put just the 592. Yeah, because that's where the incident happened. The victim ran to the second location for safety and to call the police.
Okay. All right. And then no further contact with the victim, Marian Reskia. I want to make sure there's been the ample cooling down period. This just happened yesterday. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
And Your Honor, since they do live there, can he also have a one-time police escort to pick up his belongings?
Yes, and a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve any belongings. Do not go back except without law enforcement. Okay. That'll conclude this case.
Your Honor, position number 6, Mr. Howard.
Okay. 23 CR 002064C, Keyshawn Howard, charged with 1 count of battery, family violence, offense date 4/4/23, pretrial.
2021 grand theft conviction, 2021 parole violation, 2021 felon in possession of a firearm conviction, 2017 petty theft, burglary, battery. It just shows as an arrest. 2016 shoplifting, battery, arrest. 2015 burglary conviction. 2013, 2014 failure to appear.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at 4001 Lakemont Drive, apartment 35G. And this is where officers arrived in response to an altercation between the defendants and Miss Sierra Taylor. Sierra is spelled Sierra. This is where the defendant pushed Miss Taylor down a hill when she tried to get her keys from him. And so when officers arrived, they observed marks on Miss Taylor's face, including scratches and swelling to her forehead, Your Honor. Our victim advocate was able to speak to Miss Taylor today. She let us know that a few days ago, while her and the defendant were at a friend's house, the defendant and her got into an argument where he pushed her into a window, which caused the window to break, Your Honor. Our Ms. Taylor also let our victim advocate know that she doesn't want any contact with the defendant and she wants him to stay away from the residence, Your Honor. And that he has called her since he's been in jail, but she has not answered the phone, Your Honor. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond. We're asking for a one-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Miss Sierra Taylor, to stay away from 4001 Lakemont Drive, apartment 35G, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right. PD Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Howard is 26 years old. In speaking with him, he states that he is the one who in fact called the police, and he adamantly denies the allegations as alleged and states that the alleged victim in this case caused those injuries to herself, and that he has a witness who was a neighbor who witnessed everything that occurred and who also wrote a written statement and provided that to, well, I'm not sure if they provided it to law enforcement. Mr. Howard tells me that he has no intent to return back to that residence, even though he does not have anywhere to go. So after his hearing is concluded, I will be in contact with a social worker to assist him with housing. Although he has some history, most of his convictions are from several years ago. He moved to Georgia just this past June and has completed up to the 12th grade. So we would request a signature bond due to Mr. Howard's indigent status. If the court is not inclined, we would ask for a $1,500 surety bond.
And Your Honor, at the appropriate time, I would like to sound for Miss Sierra Taylor if she's on the Zoom call.
Sierra Taylor, Miss Sierra Taylor. Don't think I see her. I'm going to order a $3,000 surety bond. I'm going to order stay away from the incident location. No further contact with the victim, Sierra Taylor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. That should conclude this case. Who's next?
Position number 10, Mr. Jackson. I mean, position number 7, Mr. Ingram. I apologize.
Okay.
7.
All right, 23 CR 002065J, Kendall Ingram, charged with 1 count of battery, family violence, offense date April 4th, 2023. Pretrial.
4th arrest, 2022 contempt of court, shoplifting conviction, and a 2012 suspended license dismissed.
Yes, so Your Honor, this incident occurred yesterday at about 3 a.m. at 85 Mount Zion Road, apartment 25. And this is where officers responded to an altercation due to the defendant slamming Miss Yasmeen Salam, and that's spelled Yasmeen as YASMEEN, Salam SALAAM, slamming Miss Salam on the ground, causing a rug burn to her right shoulder area. He did this because she was trying to retrieve her phone from him. The two are married, Your Honor. Our victim advocate was able to speak to Miss Salam today. And she said that this was their first physical altercation that the two have been in, but they've had verbal altercations where the police has been called to their residence, Your Honor. The victim, Ms. Salam, let us know that she's apprehensive about having contact with the defendant, and she's just unsure what the defendant might do, Your Honor. She let us know that she does not want any contact with him right now, and she wants him to stay away from the residence. And for these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness course. We're asking for no further contact with Ms. Salam and to stay away from 85 Mount Zion Road, apartment 25. We're also asking for a one-time police escort for the defendant's belongings and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
I'm sorry, PD Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ingram is 31 years old. He reports that he is not married to the alleged victim in this case. They are married through their faith, but not legally. Mr. Ingram has been in Georgia since 2005, and he adamantly denies the allegations as alleged. He states that he does not live with the alleged victim in this case, and he does not desire to have any further contact with her. We would like to request a one-time police escort for Mr. Ingram to pick up any belongings that he has with the alleged victim as they were in a relationship, but he does not desire to have any further contact. Mr. Ingram has no prior convictions. He's gainfully employed with Allstate as an agent. And so in light of that, we would be requesting a $3,000 signature bond. However, if Your Honor is not inclined, we will request a $1,500 surety bond.
And Your Honor, the state would like to sound for Ms. Salam at the appropriate time.
Yeah. And how old is Mr. Ingram again?
He is 31.
All right, I see Ms. Salam on the camera. Ms. Salam, do you wish to address the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you in fear of Mr. Ingram?
No, ma'am, I am not.
Okay. Do you want to have any further contact with them?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, and you all don't reside together, is that correct, or do you?
Yes, ma'am, we do reside together. He's been paying the rent.
Okay.
And he's listed as a roommate on my lease.
Okay. All right, any cross-examination from the state, ASG Bickerstaff?
No cross-examination, Your Honor.
Any cross-examination, PD Wills?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to order a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order a stay away from 85 Mount Zion Road. I understand he's on the lease, but to make sure there's been the ample cooling down period, I'm going to order him to stay away and reside somewhere else while on bond. I'm going to also order no further contact with the victim, Yasmin, is it Salam? I don't want to mispronounce your name.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. And I'm going to order a 1-day anger awareness course and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. All right.
And Your Honor, we would also like to request a one-time police escort.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Sorry about that. A one-time police or law enforcement escort to return to the property to retrieve his personal belongings. Make sure you schedule that, Mr. Ingram, so that you will go back only with law enforcement one time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Position number 9, Jason.
Okay. 23 CR 002068F. DeMarco Jackson, charged with 1 count of battery family violence. Offense date February the 28th, 2021.
I don't have that.
Nothing. Okay.
I don't have it. I would defer to the state.
Oh, you don't have it. I'm sorry. Yes, state, do you have can you give me some of the criminal history, if any?
Yes, Your Honor. We have a conviction from 2020 from pointing a gun at another that was out of Henry County. Then we have a 2020 simple battery guilty in DeKalb. That's with the same victim in this case. We also have a 2020 possession of marijuana where he pled nolo. We have a 2019 simple assault. That's time expired. It says it's 4 cycles on his criminal history, Your Honor. This offense date took place on February 28th, 2021 at 240 Parkland Drive, Northeast. Officers responded to a dispute call. Upon arrival, they made contact with the victim, Ms. Jasmine McDuffie. I do see Ms. McDuffie on the call, and we would ask that she have the opportunity to speak if she so choose. She stated that an argument between her and her boyfriend who lives at the same address turned physical. The argument was revolving around someone Ms. McDuffie was following on Instagram. She stated that Mr. Jackson started with preventing her from going into the bedroom and continued by grabbing her by her arm and torso, and then culminated in him punching her in the face with a closed fist. Officers observed visible injuries to the victim's lip, waist, and arm. Your Honor, the state has we have some really particular concerns, particularly that there was a 2020 simple battery in DeKalb with the same victim. So there's a risk of re-offending. There's also a risk of intimidating of the witness. We've spoken to the victim, and we were speaking to her. She seemed to not recall this incident. We're worried that amnesia is motivated by the defendant. Also, we have some obvious concerns. The state's recommendation, Your Honor, is a $3,000 surety bond, stay away from the incident location, to have no further contact with the victim, and also complete a 1-day anger awareness, of course, while out on bond, to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a part of the bond.
All right. Is it PD Wills?
Yes, Your Honor, but I believe the victim is here. If we could hear from her first, if you wouldn't mind.
Is that Ms. McDuffie?
Yes,
Okay. Do you wish to address the court today, Ms. McDuffie?
yes, I do.
Raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes,
All right, put your hand down for me. Are you in fear of Mr. Jackson?
no,
All right, do you reside with Mr. Jackson still?
no, I live with my mother in Clayton County.
Okay. And anything else you want to tell me about this incident?
Yeah, all of the offenses that we were having, it was before he was diagnosed with bipolar. And since then, he has been on his medication and we haven't had any incidents since he's been on his medication.
So you haven't had any incidents since 2021? This incident is February 28, 2021.
Yes, since 2021, we haven't had any incidents for 2 years.
Okay. Any cross-examination by the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Ms. McDuffie.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, were you the victim in the 2020 simple battery case in DeKalb County?
Yes,
And do you recall calling the police for this incident back in February of 2021?
yes.
And did you, in fact, suffer injuries to your lip as a result of this incident?
I had a face mask on, like a full face mask. I had just got off work and it was like one of the plastic ones. So when we had got into it, it wasn't really like a full fist closed punch, but I had the face mask on, which sat right here. So that's what caused the mark on my face.
Okay. And when, in your estimate, when did the defendant start taking medication?
I believe it was the end of 2021.
In 2021. Has there been any other incidents besides the two that we just discussed?
There was another incident in 2021, but I never followed up with it. It was like closer, like in August, but that's the only thing.
Okay.
Since then, it hasn't been anything else.
In that situation, did you call the police?
Yes,
And where were you living at the time when you made that phone call?
in Fulton County, MO, and like around MLK. I wasn't living at the address listed for this incident.
And you said now that you resided with your mother in Clayton County?
Mhm.
And where does Mr. Jackson reside?
He lives in Auburn with his grandmother.
That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. McDuffie.
No problem.
PD Wills.
No questions.
All right.
I would just like to state that Mr. Jackson is 26 years old. As it has been stated, this incident occurred February 28th of 2021. So there may be a statute of limitation issue for the state. Mr. Jackson reports that he does not live with the alleged victim and also denies the allegations. He does not have any objection to no further contact with the alleged victim in this case. He reports that he has obtained his GED. He is from Georgia, and we would like to request a signature bond in light of how far removed we are from the offense date. Also, it seems that all of Mr. Jackson's prior arrests were back in 2020, which may be related to his previous or prior, his unknown diagnoses at that time.
Okay. I do I just have a concern and see that it was 2021, and I usually say always, and what we need to say is we want to make sure that the victim is going to be safe. And I guess she's telling us she's been safe since it's been several years. I'm going to, but I am concerned that there's been more than one case. That's correct, right, State?
Yes, Your Honor. There's the DeKalb County case, this case, and then apparently another case that went undocumented. But there's that major concern of reoffending.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But per the victim, Ms. McDuffie, she stated all of these incidents occurred years ago prior to Mr. Jackson receiving his diagnoses, and he has not had any issues since that time.
Right, but his history is a little disturbing to me as well. I'm going to order that he have, and I guess pretrial will not take him, correct?
That's up to you. I mean, we got a previous case. He said something about the cab because I didn't have the history.
Oh, that's right. You didn't have. So he doesn't have any open Fulton cases, correct?
Your Honor, in my looking at his history, he does not have any open Fulton County cases. No, Your Honor.
But he has an open DeKalb.
He might still be on. I don't believe. I mean, he might still be on probation for that case in DeKalb.
Okay, maybe probation in DeKalb. I'm going to order that $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. I'm going to order 1-day anger awareness course. I'm going to order no further violent contact with the victim, Divine McDuffie. And I guess there's no need for a stay away if the evidence is that he does not reside with her. Does the state request a stay away?
Your Honor, in light of the court's decision for it to be a no further violent contact, the state doesn't have a position on the stay away at that location. The victim in the case has stated that she no longer resides there.
Okay. All right. And we'll just leave it at that. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And that should conclude the case.
Thank you.
Position number 11, Mr. Lee.
This is 23 CR 002069A. Vontez Lee, charged with 1 count of battery, family violence, a 2nd count of criminal trespass and damage to property. Offense date January the 22nd, 2023. Pretrial.
One moment.
Sorry.
Yeah, one moment.
Oh, okay.
We got a history out of Georgia and Texas.
Can barely hear you.
I say you got a history out of Georgia and Texas.
Okay.
I got 2021 probation violation. This is Georgia history. 2021 possession of a knife or a firearm during a commission. Sale of marijuana that was dismissed. Got an ag assault that was dismissed on the simple battery from 2019 probation. Underlying charge was ag assault with intent to rob and robbery. It came off of a 17 SC 152222 case. The 2019 arrest for battery DV crude in the 3rd. I didn't look that up, so I'm not sure if it's open or probated or what. 2018 possession of a Schedule 2 controlled substance. Trespass, misdemeanor possession of marijuana conviction 2018. Disorderly conduct conviction 2017.
Okay.
And he is on probation for theft by taking. It's based on the time he would get off of it in December. Because in December 2015, they gave him 8 years probation for theft by taking. That's 15 SC 136146. See, ag battery, ag assault, probation violation. The ag battery and ag assault was dismissed. And that was.
All right. I've about heard enough. I don't know if you counted them or not. How
Oh,
many
no,
cycles?
that's enough. I'm good. 21 cycles in Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
All right. I've heard enough.
Your Honor, this offense date took place on January 22nd, 2023 at 301 Maple Street in Hapeville, Georgia. Officers responded to a domestic call. There they made contact with the victim in this case, Miss Brianna Shinholster. That's spelled Brianna. Brianna, first name, last name Shinholster, Shinholster. She stated that the father of her child assaulted her in front of her children. Brianna advised to the police that she was placing her child in the car and she received a text message, and that text message set the defendant off. He proceeds to take the phone and throw it in the middle of the street, breaking it, being the basis of the criminal trespass damage. They then begin to fight, and the defendant punches the victim several times in the face. Officers observed a knot to the victim's forehead, and the defendant was gone from the scene before the police arrived. According to the police report, the defendant and the victim do not live together. RVWC attempted to make contact with Ms. Shinholster this morning and was not successful. What the state would request that she be sounded for, just in case she is on the Zoom call. Your Honor, the state has some concerns we have a fear of that there be a potential intimidation of the witness, especially with their relationship and that they share a child. The defendant also has an active wanted warrant in Texas. It appears for an obstruction case. He has a 21 cycle history in Georgia. He also has cycles in Texas and in Alabama. In light of this, the state's recommendation in this case for count 1, battery family violence is a $2,500 surety on count 1, a $1,500 surety on count 2 for a total of $4,000 surety. No further contact with the victim, to stay away from the incident location, to complete 1 day of anger awareness, and to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right. PD Kim.
Yes, I thought we were gonna sound for Miss Brianna.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem.
Miss Brianna Shinholster. Brianna Shinholster. Nope, don't think she's on the Zoom. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Lee is 31 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. Your Honor, of course, they do not live together. And indeed, ever since the incident, my client has not had any contact with her. He doesn't even know the phone number of Miss Brianna. So I don't think we have no objection to stay away and no further contact with a complaining witness. Your Honor, they have 2 children. However, those 2 children are living with a grandmother instead of their biological mother. So I think that's perfect situation for third-party transfer for the children, and he does not have to have any contact with Miss Brianna because of the children. So there's no need for intimidating the witnesses. He is not qualified for public defender services since he is gainfully employed at Joe's, and he also successfully completed up to 10th grade, and then he got GED. We would like to request for signature on bond, and yet, because of the history, if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we ask for $1,000 good bond for each charge, totaling $2,000 good bond. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to order $4,000 surety bond, which is $2,500 on the battery, $1,500 on the criminal trespass, the damage to property. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Brianna Shinholster. Stay away from the incident location. 1-day anger awareness course, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Your Honor, position number 14, Ms. Mitchell.
Okay. This is 23 CR 002072G. Jarvis Mitchell charged with 1 count of simple battery family violence, offense date 4/4/23.
10th arrest, 2018 obstruction conviction, 2015 disorderly conduct no low, 2015 simple battery DV, it just shows as an arrest, 2012 battery conviction, 2010 simple battery hindering person from making emergency call conviction, and 2008 simple assault trespass and another hindering pled no low. That's it.
Okay.
Your Honor, this offense date took place yesterday, April 4th, 2023 at 455 Cedarwood Court, Southwest in South Fulton. Officers responded to the location on a domestic dispute call. There they made contact with the victim in this case, Skyla Hickson. It's spelled SKYLA Hickson, and the defendant Jarvis Mitchell. Ms. Hickson stated that they all lived together, and on that day, Mr. Mitchell and Ms. Hickson were having a verbal argument inside the home. Mr. Mitchell then suddenly started to punch the victim in the head. Officers observed surveillance video from outside showing the defendant approach the victim outside and screaming at her and then grabbing her. The officers did not observe visible injuries on Ms. Hickson. Ms. Hickson has a 10-year-old son who stated and told the officer that he did witness the battery. The reason why there's no cruelty to children is because at this time, Your Honor, it's our understanding that this is a simple battery. Your Honor, the state has some major concerns, as pretrial has already highlighted. He has several battery and violent type offenses and convictions. We've confirmed through speaking to the other jurisdictions that this victim is not the victim in those other cases, but there seems to be a pattern developing about with victims. There's obviously a relationship that they do live together. We were able to speak and make contact with Ms. Hickson, our VW. Our victim witness advocate was able to speak to Ms. Hickson, and she stated she wanted no contact from the defendant and for him to stay away. I don't believe that she's on the call, Your Honor, but if she is here present, we would ask that she be sounded and have the opportunity to speak. Your Honor, in light of all these things and the concerns that the state has, the state's recommendation for count 1 simple battery is on bond as a $4,000 surety, no further contact with the victim, to stay away from the incident location at that Cedarwood Court Southwest, 1 day anger awareness, to allow only one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve any personal belongings, and to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right.
And if we may sound for our victim, Your Honor.
All right, Skylar Hickson. Don't think we have her on. Go ahead, PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Mitchell is 35 years old. He is Atlanta native. Your Honor, he has been living together with a complaining witness, but he is willing to find another place to live with a stepfather, so that way they can separately live together. We have no objection to stay away and no further contact. My client is gainfully employed at Moe's, the sandwich shop. He's working as a manager. He's been working there for the last 2 months, and he really want to keep his job. He graduated from high school. We would like to request for a signature on bond. If Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we ask for $1,000 maximum good bond. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I am here, Your Honor.
Oh, the 1 plus. Do you wish to address the court?
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Hickson. So I will go ahead and give my ruling. I'm going to order the $4,000 surety bond. Going to order no further contact with the victim, Skylar Hickson. I'm going to order stay away from the incident location. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm assuming he doesn't need to return to that property, or does he?
He does, Your Honor. He was living there with.
Okay. I'm going to order a one-time law enforcement escort to return to the property to retrieve any personal items.
So, Your Honor, when he come, he will be escorted correctly, because I don't feel safe with him coming by himself.
Yeah, no, he has to be escorted. If he comes by himself, you need to call the police and he will be arrested again.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
What's the bond again, Your Honor?
I'm sorry?
What's the judgment again?
It is, it's not a judgment, it's a bond order, but it's $4,000 surety bond. And you're to stay away from that, I think it's Cedarwood Court. And you are to have no further contact with the victim, Ms. Hickson, in any shape, form, or fashion. And you are to have a one-time police escort to go back to the property to retrieve any of your personal items.
Yeah, position number 12, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you.
No, you gonna talk to me? Oh.
No, that was someone else, I think. All right, thank you, Ms. Hickson. You can sign off. This is case number, all right. This is case number 23CR002071E. Levi Lewis, you're charged with 1 count of battery family violence. Offense date September the 25th, 2022.
Third arrest, 2017 DUI conviction, 2019 DUI arrest. That's it.
Okay. State.
Thank you, Your Honor. The offense date for this incident is September 25th, 2022. It took place at 1675 Evans Drive, Southwest here in Atlanta. Officers responded to a domestic dispute. Once at the location, they spoke with the victim, in this case, a Miss Cassidy Ledbetter. She stated that around 1:30 a.m. that night, her and her boyfriend entered into a verbal argument. Her boyfriend had According to her boyfriend had been drinking, and during the argument, he grabbed her and began dragging her throughout the front of the room at that home. Officers then spoke with the defendant in this case, Mr. Lewis, who also stated that he was drinking earlier that night and that he and the victim entered an argument. He stated that the victim then pushed him and that both parties moved each other to avoid hitting each other. While on the scene, officers didn't observe any bruising to Ms. Ledbetter, but the next day, officers did arrive or did make contact with the victim and observed bruising consistent with the victim's statements, and that is when they took out the warrant for battery family violence. Your Honor, the state does have concerns with the defendant and victim living together. We have not had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Ledbetter today, but we would ask that we sound for her in case she is in the call and she have opportunity to speak. Also, Your Honor, according to the defendant's criminal history, it appears that each one of the run-ins with the law always involves some form of alcohol. Alcohol was a factor in this case, but we do have some concerns. The state's recommendation to this would be on count one, $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from the 1675 Evans Drive location, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right.
And Your Honor, if we may sound for Ms. Ledbetter, I think she might be present on the call with us.
All right. Is it Cassidy Ledbetter?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Do you wish to address the court?
Yes.
All right. If you do, raise your right hand for me. You affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right. You can put your hand down. Are you in fear of Mr. Lewis?
No,
All right. Do you still reside with Mr. Lewis?
I do not.
All right. Anything else you want to tell the court?
No.
All right. Thank you for your time. Any cross-examination from state?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Ledbetter.
Hi.
Ma'am, did you call the police back at September 25th, 2022?
Yes.
Concerning this case?
Yes.
And did the defendant put his hands on you that evening?
Yes.
Has there been any other incidents of physical contact between you, unwanted physical contact between you and the defendant?
No, there has not.
And do you and the defendant still live together?
No, we do not.
Okay. Where are you don't have to tell me the full address. Where are you living now?
In Lithonia with my parents.
Okay. And where does the defendant live at this time? You don't have to give me the full address.
In Atlanta, where the incident happened.
Okay. Are you guys still in a relationship?
No, but we are in friendly contact.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your time.
Of course.
All right. PD Kim, do you have any cross-examination?
No.
Okay.
Yes. Mr. Lewis is 29 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. Your Honor, he is gainfully employed at Accusations as a process engineer. He has a bachelor's degree and he will not be qualified for public defender services after this bond hearing. Your Honor, of course, they no longer live together. They don't date anymore. They broke up. He prefers to have a no further violent contact, and yet we will defer to Your Honor. We would like to request for a signature on bond. This is the first any kind of violent offense that he has ever had. And if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we ask for maximum $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
Your Honor, before you make your assessment, I did need to follow up with one last question. I apologize to the witness.
Okay.
Ms. Ledbetter, did you incur any injuries as a result of this incident back in September?
I had minor bruises, but I also have anemia, so I do bruise easily. But I did not seek out any medical attention for those injuries.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Ledbetter, you can mute yourself now. I'm gonna give my ruling. I'm going to order the $3,000 surety bond. I'm going to order no further contact with Ms. Ledbetter. And guess we don't need to stay away because that neither party resides there anymore, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
And I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I think that should do it. Anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Good luck to you, Ms. Ledbetter.
Your Honor, position number 13, Mr. Lovett.
This is 23 CR 002070B. Not sure how to pronounce the first name. LaChastity Lovett. You're charged with 1 count of battery family violence, a 2nd count of theft by taking. Offense date May the 11th, 2022.
Fourth
Pretrial.
arrest. It's arrest number 4. Last arrest was, well, it was on the 3rd of this month for suspended license in Douglas County. Before that was a 05 obstruction that was dismissed. And he got the DeKalb County hold for simple assault, paraffin obstruction hold. That's it.
All right, state.
Thank you, Your Honor. The offense date for this incident is May 11, 2022. It took place at 453 John Lewis Freedom Parkway, Northeast. Your Honor, that is the Jimmy Carter Center. Officers responded to location to an assault. There they made contact with the victim in this case, Miss, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this. I think it's Kasia Lovett. That's Kasia, Kasia Lovett. She is the wife to the defendant, Mr. Lovett. She stated that when she arrived at work at 6 a.m., that the defendant was there in the parking lot waiting for her, and then an argument ensued because she didn't come home the day before. She stated that her husband broke her front driver's side window with his fist and tried to pull Miss Lovett out of the car because he thought that she was having an affair. It was at this point that he also took her phone. Officers observed visible lacerations from the broken glass and being pulled through the broken glass on Ms. Lovett's face. Ms. Lovett was transported to Atlanta Medical for treatment for her injuries. Your Honor, the state has some major concerns in this case. First, with the defendant coming to the victim's place of work to confront her, the breaking of the glass with his fist. Though he doesn't have any other violent convictions on his record, Your Honor, the nature and allegations in this case are very concerning. This was very bold for something like this to happen at a person's place of work. The defendant took her phone as well. The state's recommendation in this case for the first count, battery and Your Honor, I do not believe we have not had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Lovett this morning, but we would ask that she be sounded for, and that if she is here on the Zoom, that she has an opportunity to speak. But the state's recommendation on count 1, family violence battery, is a $4,000 surety bond, for theft by taking a $2,000 surety bond, and for the criminal trespass damage, as well another $2,000 surety bond, for a total of an $8,000 surety bond. No further contact with the victim. 1 day anger awareness, stay away from the incident location, which is the Jimmy Carter Center, to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapon while out on bond. Your Honor, since we haven't had the opportunity to speak with the victim in this case to ascertain what the living situation is, we would also ask that the stay away also apply to where, obviously no further contact, but also stay away from her home. And I can get that address for you.
I believe she's on the line.
Okay.
All right, Casey Lovett.
Good morning. Good
Yes.
afternoon, Kasia.
And how do you pronounce your first name?
Kasia.
Oh, Kasia, I apologize. Kasia, do you want to address the court today?
Sure.
Okay, raise your right hand for me. And I want to make sure you've pulled over and you're not driving. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Pulled over in park.
Okay. All right. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you put your hand down. Are you in fear of Mr. LaChastity Lovett?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And do you all still reside together?
No, ma'am.
Do you all have children together?
Yes.
Okay. How many children?
3.
What are their ages?
15, 14, and 8.
All right. Anything else you wish to inform the court of?
The phone was returned, and we have to have some sort of contact because, we co-parent, and I believe that we're in a much better place.
Okay. All right, that's good. Any cross-examination by the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mhm.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lovett.
Good afternoon.
On May 11, 2022, did you call the police because your husband confronted you at your job?
I didn't call the police.
Who called the police?
I believe the security did.
He in fact confronted you at your work?
Yes.
And did he break your glass on your car?
Yes.
And did he take your phone that day?
Yes.
And did you sustain injuries as a result of this incident?
From the glass.
Did you go to Atlanta Medical for treatment?
Yes, to get a tetanus shot.
Tetanus shot. And you stated that you and Mr. Lovett are not living together anymore?
Correct.
Okay. And where do you reside now?
In Henry County.
Okay. Who are you living with, family?
My mom.
And where does Mr. Lovett live now?
Cobb County.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. And are you all still married, Ms. Lovett?
Yes.
Okay. Just separated.
Right.
Okay. All right. How long have you been married?
January 13, 2007.
Okay. All right. PD Kim, any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
All right. You may go ahead, state.
Yes, Mr. Lovett is 42 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. He has been working as a forklift operator last 3 years. He's gainfully employed. He graduated from high school, so he will not be qualified for public defender services after this bond hearing. Your Honor, we believe no further violent contact is the best for both of them because this happened a while ago. There has been enough cooling period time that both parties are calm and they are professional. They can co-parent. Your Honor, we also want to verify that the calendar only has 2 charges, battery, family violence, and theft by taking. So we want to make sure that criminal trespass is going to be added or is it going to be not added? We just want to clarify that part. And we want to ask for $1,000 surety bond for each charges. Thank you.
I was going to ask that state, and I forgot, you mentioned 3 charges or 3 or 2?
There's 3 charges, Your Honor. The criminal trespass damage has also been accused and been filed down on this case.
Okay.
And Your Honor, if the state may, we would also, in light of speaking to the victim, we would also ask that in this case that there be allowed a third-party intermediary to allow for the transportation and visitation for the children, Your Honor. But the state would still request a no further contact as the state's recommendation.
Okay. I guess given the fact that the victim, Ms. Lovett, has testified that they're co-parenting, this happened almost a year ago, it was almost May of 2023. And if they're in a better place now that they're separated, just trying to make sure that we continue to facilitate that somehow. They're still living apart. I'm going to order a signature bond in the amount of the $8,000. I'm going to have that broken down, I guess, the same way the state recommended. And what was it, 4, 2, and 2, I believe?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, 4 on the battery, 2 on the theft by taking, and 2 on the criminal trespass. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is
All
that
right.
just criminal trespass or criminal trespass and damage to property?
Oh, let me get that correct, State. Go ahead.
It's criminal trespass damage, Your Honor. It's
Okay.
yes, Your Honor.
Just criminal trespass?
It's criminal trespass damage. That's
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you sure it's been filed down?
You're not seeing it?
No, I was just told it's not seen. And I need to make sure so that I can have my paperwork correct.
Jail, what do you have, 2 or 3 charges?
4. I'm sorry, 3. Battery, family violence, first offense, theft by taking, misdemeanor, criminal damage, criminal trespass, and damage to property.
Okay, just want to
Okay.
make sure.
Right.
And Judge, did you say that was through the jail?
No, I didn't. I'm going to make it through pretrial per judge.
Okay, no problem.
Unless pretrial tells me anything different.
It's 418. I'm good. That's fine. It'll be per
Okay.
judge.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so what I'm going to do is to order the 1-day anger awareness course to make sure we're fine with that. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order no further violent contact with Ms. Lovett. And I'm assuming I don't need to stay away at this point since they're not residing there.
Right.
And if there's going to be visitation allowed with the children, then that will be facilitated by a third party so that there won't be any violation of the bond conditions.
Now he does have the cab hold, I think.
Uh-oh.
I thought I
Does
saw
it?
that.
Double check that, State.
Jail, do you have a foreign hold?
I see 2 holes, a Fairburn
Yeah.
hole and a DeKalb County hole.
Yeah. And then,
Oh, well,
yeah.
he'll be going to those. I'll go ahead and still do the signature bond so he can go on to the other counties.
Now he's gonna have to report the pretrial once he gets.
I'm sorry.
released.
Well, I can change it and just make it through the jail.
That's fine.
Since it's gotta go. Yeah, let me change it to the jail.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's 8,000 signature bond through the jail, deputy. Since
Yes,
it's got
ma'am.
the
Thank
hold.
you.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else, council?
No, nothing further.
All right, thank you.
Position number 17, Price.
All right. This is 23 CR 002074F. Laxil Price, charge of 1 count of disorderly conduct, April 3rd, 2023, pre-trial.
19 total. 2014 trespass conviction out of Texas. 2022 battery arrest. 2021 battery conviction. 2020 obstruction conviction and a probation violation. Got a 2020 felony obstruction, misdemeanor possession of marijuana conviction. 2020 shoplifting conviction, 2018 reckless conduct conviction, and a 2014 possession of a firearm by convicted felon conviction. all I got.
Okay. State?
Yes, Your Honor. This offense date took place on April 5th, 2023 at 1 Margaret Mitchell Square, Atlanta. That is the Central Library in Fulton County. Officers responded to the location, and then they spoke with Dexter Williams, who is security at the library. He advised that the defendant, upon entering the building, was cussing at him and told Mr. Williams, the victim, Dexter Williams, fuck you. And as soon as he walked into the library, he also told Mr. Williams that he's about that life. Mr. Williams felt that Mr. Price was going to swing on him, and he appeared agitated. Officers encountered the defendant and described his behavior as uncooperative, aggressive, and tumultuous in nature. Your Honor, the state has some concerns with the conviction history, with his history here. Not really sure what the basis of his actions towards the security, but the state's recommendation in this case is for the 1 count of disorderly conduct, a $2,000 surety, no further contact with Dexter Williams, that's a victim in this case, to stay away from Central Library, to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. And also, Your Honor, we would request a behavioral health evaluation and any treatment as a condition of bond.
All right. Is this Ms. McLeod?
It is, Your Honor. Good afternoon
Okay.
again.
Good afternoon.
My client is 32 years old. He is currently unemployed. He also is residentially challenged, Your Honor. He tells me he has been living for some time in a shelter. He absolutely denies the allegations, Your Honor. He said he was just talking to himself. You know, he was essentially having a conversation with himself, Your Honor. The warrant does not state that it just says that the security felt like he was going to swing on him or something. That is really has no substance. The fact is, my client did not swing on him. He may have been saying some things to himself, but he did not exhibit any kind of aggression towards the security officer at all. He just may have not liked the appearance of my client or the fact that he was talking to himself, so he called the police on him. That's essentially what happened. My client is in no position to pay any bond, Your Honor, so I would just ask the court to give him a signature bond so he can get out of jail. He, as I said, he lives in a shelter and he's in no position to pay any kind of bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, also, we weren't able to make contact with Mr. Williams, but we would ask that if he is on the call, that we sound for him and give him the opportunity to speak.
And let me ask one thing, because I have a different last name for the witness. Are we sure it's Williams?
Well, that's the last name for the victim in this case. It could be the officer that you have as a witness as well, but
I have a Dexter Miller. Is that incorrect?
it might have been a Freudian slip. It might have been Miller. I apologize.
That's okay.
But yes, his first name is definitely Dexter.
Okay. Okay.
All right. I'm going to order a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order a BHE for behavioral health to talk to them if they can. I'm going to order stay away from the Central Library. Mr. Price, you stay away from the library for me?
I'm saying, I want to read on sign books and running me.
They're going to help find some place for you to go, but I'm going to let you out on this signature bond as long as you agree for me that you'll stay away from that Central Library, will you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, beautiful.
Okay, let's do that. No further contact with the security guard there. Dexter Miller. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And that will be it, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Number 18, Mr. Williams.
23 CR 002075J, Alex Williams, in charge of one count of battery family violence. The offense date is April 3rd, 2023. Pretrial.
This is 10th arrest. He got an open simple battery, simple assault, and trespass out of Clayton County. I didn't see any felony convictions,
Okay.
just the arrest.
All right. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on April 3rd, 2023 at 7:38 a.m. Brandon Davis, who is the victim in this case, was in an argument with his boyfriend with whom he lives with, and stated the argument became physical, but at that time he didn't call the police. Instead, he told the defendant to get out of the residence and locked him out. Sometime around 6:45 that morning, the defendant then re-entered the residence. Mr. Davis stated he believes it was through another tenant, confronted Mr. Davis, pushed him, and it resulted in lacerations to Mr. Davis's arms, face, and thumb. The officers also observed that the shower was shattered. The shower glass door was shattered, which resulted in some of these lacerations. Mr. Davis and the defendant have been dating for 2 years and lived at the location for approximately a year. And Mr. Davis also disclosed that the defendant was not to be around him due to an altercation in Clayton County. We did have an opportunity to speak to Mr. Davis, and we will sound for him. Mr. Davis did inform the officers that they have been dating for 2 years, living together for 1, that there's an open aggravated assault case out of Clayton County, and that this argument did get physical once he locked this defendant out of the home after he was let back in. And he stated that when he was pushed, it caused the shower door to shatter, which is where he got the lacerations. Mr. Davis would like a no further contact and a stay away from his home, which is 700 Lake Joyce Lane in Fairburn, Georgia, where this incident occurred. The state's recommendation at this time, due to the previous incident, and we were able to reach out to Clayton County and determine that there was in fact a previous incident. However, we could not get the bond conditions on that incident. And I tried multiple individuals and they were not able to provide the bond conditions. However, the fact that there is a previous incident involving these individuals is very concerning for the state, as it indicates that there is a risk of reoffense and a risk of a real threat to Mr. Davis. For that reason, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 cash bond, stay away from 700 Lake Joyce Lane in Fairburn, no further contact with Brandon Davis, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. I will also let the court know that if we are able to get the bond conditions and they do show there was a no further contact with Mr. Davis, we will be moving forward with potential aggravated stalking charges in felony division. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 43 years old. My client denies that he actually struck the complaining witness at all, Your Honor. He tells me that they did have an argument and he was outside. He slept in his car. In the morning, he needed his clothes for work and they were still in the house. So the alleged victim's aunt, who also lives in the household, let him into the house so he could get his clothes. That was when the alleged victim confronted him and struck him. In fact, my client, when the officers were able to speak with him, he had damage to his face, lacerations and so on, which the court can see. If you're able to look at his face, he actually was attacked by the alleged victim, Your Honor. My client wishes no further contact with the alleged victim either, Your Honor, but he would like to have a one-time police escort back to the location so he can retrieve his belongings. My client tells me, Your Honor, that this is not the first time that he has been attacked by the alleged victim. In fact, he says that the victim has a habit of attacking him, and then he tries to turn the tables and to suggest that my client was the one who attacked him. The fact that he has these lacerations on his face, my client does, Your Honor, is an indication that the alleged victim did in fact attack him, Your Honor. And I would ask the court to give my client a signature bond to get out of jail, get on with his job. He to have any contact with the alleged victim, Your Honor, and doesn't want any.
And Your Honor, if we may sound for Brandon Davis, and I would just like to point out that only one of these individuals has 2 open cases, and that's the defendant.
The fact that he has open cases does not necessarily mean he's guilty. There are people who have many open cases and are not guilty. I don't know if you're aware, Ms. Falk, that there are some alleged victims who have a habit of being victims because it allows them to control other people by trying to make out the other people as bad people.
Your Honor, if we can sound for Brandon Davis.
All right, Brandon Davis. Brandon Davis. All right, don't think he's on the call. All right, because of the history that I've heard, I'm going to order the $3,000 cash bond. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Brandon Davis. I'm going to order stay away from the Fairburn location. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And
He
guess
needs a
that'll be
one-time
it for
police
now.
escort, Your Honor.
One-time police escort to the location to retrieve any personal belongings.
Could we
Make
set
sure
a
it
time
gets-
limit on that of no longer than 2 hours, Your Honor?
Okay, I will.
Mr. Williams, if this is not about your bond, I would advise you not to speak. You can always call me if you have a question. But if this does not pertain to your bond, don't speak, okay?
All right, if that's it, that will conclude this case. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing from the state.
Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court. May I be excused?
Yes, you may. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right.
Johnny, change the bond. Go ahead and have a seat for me over there. Position 4, Craft.
This is 23 CR 002062F Kelvin Kraft, charged at 1 count of simple battery, family violence. Offense date April the 4th, 2023. Pre-trial.
Second arrest, 2022 battery DV, simple assault DV, home invasion in the first degree that appears to be open in Gwinnett County. All I got.
All right. State.
Yes, so this incident occurred yesterday at about 9:45 in the morning at 868 York Avenue Southwest. And this is where the defendant and Miss Trinity McCree, Trinity is spelled TRINITI, McCree is MCCREE. So this is where the defendant and Miss Trinity McCree were in the same car with other passengers in the car, where the defendant was sitting in the back seat behind Miss McCree, who was in the front passenger seat, Your Honor. And another passenger in the car received a phone call from their probation officer. And when they got off the phone, that passenger became upset with Miss McCree because of the information she had gave the probation officer regarding that passenger, Your Honor. And so then the police report states that the defendant then told Miss McCree that he was going to beat her ass, and then he proceeded to punch Miss McCree in the back of the head in the car, Your Honor. Our victim advocate was able to speak to Miss McCree today. She let us know that the defendant and her share a 1-month-old child together. And she also stated that this was not the first time that the defendant had been violent with her. However, he hasn't been violent with her in a while, Your Honor. She also let us know that that the defendant had been arrested for violence against her about 3 years ago in Gwinnett County. And she let us know that she doesn't want any contact, any violent contact with the defendant. But however, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond. We're asking for no further contact with Ms. McCree because we want to ensure that there's been adequate cooling off period. We're also asking for a stay away at Ms. McCree's address, which is 2130 Rosewood Mill, Loganville, Georgia. That's the That's Miss McCree's personal address. And then we're asking for a 1-day anger awareness course, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on bond, and if necessary, a third-party transfer when dealing with the 7-month-old child, Your Honor. And I would like to sound for Miss McCree if she's on the line, if she's on the Zoom call.
Miss McCree? Trinity McCree? Don't think she's on. All right. Anything else from the state?
Nothing else for the state, Your Honor.
All right, go forward, Ms. Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Kraft is just 18 years old, so I'm not sure about this 3-year ago incident. He was definitely a juvenile if that occurred. Mr. Kraft reports that he and Ms. McCree do reside together. They are still in a relationship. They do have a child, as the state stated. I also spoke with Ms. McCree, who stated that this was a one-time thing, that she is not fearful of Mr. Kraft, and that any prior altercations, verbal altercations that they had have been some time ago, and that she wants him home. Mr. Kraft states that his felony charges have been dismissed and he only has open misdemeanor charges at this time and doesn't have any convictions. He is gainfully employed. And in light of that, Your Honor, we would request a signature bond and ask for no violent contact between himself and Ms. McCree.
All right, I'm going to order $3,000 surety bond. I'm going to order that there be no further contact with the victim, Trinity McCree. I'm going to order stay away from her residence in Rosewood Mill, Logansville. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And that's all I'll order at this point.
And Your Honor, can he have a one-time police escort to get his belongings?
And from what address would that be? Is that the York Avenue or the Rosewood Mill?
He resides at 100 Castor Drive, apartment P3 in Norcross.
Okay, and it looks like she doesn't reside there anymore, so I don't know who would be there, to give him his items. That's not where the victim resides, correct, Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, that's what she, the Rosewood Mill address is what she gave our victim advocate this morning, so I don't think.
I'm not gonna do that, he'll just have to go back and find out how he gets his item.
Okay.
Because it's not the address and they've spoken to the victim this morning, so she's obviously moved from that location, which usually happens once there's been an incident. One of the others usually move to another location, and she's not stating that she resides there. I guess he'll need to watch out for himself. If he does go back to that location and she happens to be there, then he just can't be there or anywhere around her. So make sure of that. Also, there's a 7-month-old child. I don't think I'm going to order any visitation or third-party transfer with a 7-month-old. I'll leave that up to the parties. But again, the defendant needs to know that he's had to have no further contact with Ms. McCree in any shape, form, or fashion. And he's raising his hand for a question.
Mr. Kraft, do you have a question as it pertains to your bond? Anything else as it pertains to any facts of your case? Do not say them.
I have it pertaining to my bond, ma'am.
What's your question?
Ma'am, where would I get that money from? I suffer of mental health. I don't know where would I get, like.
I'm not able to advise you on that. That's a conversation you need to have with your attorney.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
It's a surety bond, so you need to call a bail company and be bonded out and contact your family. That is the only way that you'll be able to be released.
All right, next case.
That's it, Judge. Next case.
Oh.
We done. Well, I don't have any more files. So I'm just
That's
You
it.
don't have any more files. Anybody else have any more files? They better not, because pretrial will get you if you do.
And all he don't get, Miss Bridgewater will.
Oh, okay. There you go. There's his backup.
Okay, Just for the record, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be April the 18th.
Okay.
Position number 1 is reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through the jail. Position 2 is reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 3, reset further notice with a $3,500 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 4 is going to the SAP calendar with a $3,000 good bond. Position 5, SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 6, SAP calendar with a $3,000 good bond. Position 7, a $4,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 8, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 9, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 10, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 11 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $4,000 good bond. Position 12, SAP calendar with a $3,000 good bond. Position 13 is being reset further notice with a total $8,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. And by the way, there were 3 charges in this case.
Hold on, 13 was SOB jail, right?
Yes, I thought.
We did change
I
that
changed it
SOB
to jail. Yeah,
Okay,
change it to jail. Yeah.
no problem. 14, and you all did get that. It was 3
The third
charges, right?
charges, correct.
Okay, great. 14 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $4,000 good bond. Position 15 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $5,000 good bond. Position 16 is reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through the jail. Position 17 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. 18 is going to the SAP calendar with a $3,000 cash bond. 19 is going to the SAP calendar with a $5,000 cash bond. And the add-on is going to the SAP calendar with a $10,000 good bond. Are there any questions, comments, otherwise?
Really quickly, number what for position 7, is it a signature bond through the jail or pretrial services?
Hold on, I'm going to tell you now.
I got jail.
I had it through the jail. It's through the jail.
Yeah, through the jail.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you have now, Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, that's what I had. I thought I heard pretrial services though.
No, ma'am, I have through the jail.
Gotcha.
Okay, are there any others?
Nope, I think that'll do it.
Okay, great. And Ms. Kim, I did receive that evaluation, okay?
Thank you.
Are there any others? If not, everybody go out and get some of this weather before it changes.
Before it change, yeah.
Before it
Thank
changes.
you.
All right, take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.